everybody, how we all doing? I hope having a good week so far. So today is Monday, the 6th of April 2015, Bank Holiday Monday, Easter weekend is pretty much almost over. Tomorrow back to work and all that usual stuff, but it's only a 4-day week at work, so I suppose we're alright. That's good. It's always a good thing to look forward to, isn't it? I've been meaning to do a video of this magnitude for some time now, because whilst the printed edition of the, digital editions of Smallville were finished like sometime back end of last year, the printed editions only finished last month, and so it's taken me just a bit of time to get myself up to the state of actually, saying farewell to Smallville, essentially. Because that is exactly what we're doing, because the series has now pretty much ended. I'm not just talking about a TV show, obviously, but I'm also talking about the comics as well. Overall, I mean, we're talking nearly 14 years worth of Smallville mythology here, and I do remember when I watched the show for the first time. I mean, it was roughly about 10 years ago. Not long after it aired on in America, and then obviously aired in the UK sometime after that. And because back then, we always waited in the UK till the end of the season before it got shown on our side of the Atlantic, and then they would show it every episode for the next 20 odd weeks, however many episodes were per season. So it was 23 episodes, 23 weeks straight off the bat. So it was all right. It wasn't such a bad thing, because at least we got it every week, as opposed to waiting whilst you guys in America, the way that you watch it over a 9-month period with your breaks in between and stuff. And I remember when it first came on, and I was like, oh my god, this is something interesting. This is different. What are we to expect from it? And it wasn't until around, I think, 2004, 2005, when I was then able to download the episodes, that I learned, what the actual premise of the show was. It wasn't just really just about Clark Kent as he's, in his teenage years, which essentially was what it was. But a lot of people described it as Dawson Creek with superpowers, which in essence it actually was as well. So there was all the teen angst, there was a romance, and then there's this teenage boy who has these abilities, has no idea what to do with them, and he's raised by adopted parents, human parents. He's from another planet, and it was all of those sort of soul-searching type of genre, essentially. And I look back, and I want to first of all thank both Alfred Gough and Miles Miller for Miles Miller. Is it Miles Miller? It is, isn't it? Miles Gough and Miles Miller. I've forgotten his first name already. I can't believe that. That's just taking the piss. Oh dear. Oh dear. It was Alfred Gough. It is Miles Miller, sorry. Yes. So yeah. So Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, they were the ones who obviously pitched the show to Warner Brothers back in the day. Initially, for those of you who might not know, they were actually pitching to do a Bruce Wayne, prequel, an origin story for Bruce Wayne of how he becomes Batman. But Warners were like, no, you can't do that, because we've already got something in the pipeline for that, so you have to completely scrap the whole Bruce Wayne, before he becomes Batman sort of storyline. So they thought, okay, right, if that doesn't work, how about this? But here's the one catch: no tights, no flights. So basically, the story was they'll do a story about teenage Clark Kent as long as he doesn't wear the suit and doesn't fly. Okay, but then by season 4, that all went to hell. And the first season was really good. The first season gave you a good glimpse of what was to be expected. What we were hoping this show could achieve. And we got to the 3rd season. Everybody loved the 1st season, the 3rd season even, and a lot of people will tell you that the 3rd season is their favourite, and it is pretty much one of the best seasons that they've ever done. Personally, for me, season 9 was my favourite, purely because of the storyline with the Kandorians arriving on Earth. It was pretty much in line with the comic books back then, with the World of New Krypton, where Superman finds that Kandor is actually, you know, in a bottle that was shrunken by Brainiac before Krypton was destroyed, and he got brought to Earth by Brainiac, and Superman saves the Kandorians, and then they suddenly appear in the North Pole, 100,000 of them, and you know, they all got powers obviously on Earth. And then on the flip side of that, as the World of New Krypton, you know, goes on further in the storyline, they then have a new planet called New Krypton on the other side of the moon. So they're next door to planet Earth. I say next door to planet Earth, they're actually on the other side of the sun, sorry. But it was just, it was good. I love that storyline so much, and I was really pleased to see something of a similar nature appear in Smallville. And of course, we all know sometime after season 7, which was when Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor, left. Kristen Crook, who played Lana Lang, also left as well. She did come back for a couple of episodes in season 8, but after that, that was pretty much it for her. But yeah, you know, Tom Welling, Alison Mack, Sam Jones III, John Schneider, Annette O'Toole, John Glover, and as I've already mentioned, Michael Rosenbaum as well. These were like the main characters of the show. You know, we know that Pete Ross sort of left after season 3, and Alison Mack, even after season 9, she left, but she still came back for a few episodes. And then obviously in season 4 they introduced Erica Durance as Lois Lane. So the show did go from strength to strength, and it got to 10 seasons, and we couldn't have asked for more than that, to be honest. And I was really pleased that it got to the 10th season and it finished there. But there was still a lot more to tell regarding the story. Now, I've always had the argument that if they had done 5 seasons, they could have had a little TV movie, called it Metropolis, and then that would have been the end of it. But you know, they went to 10 seasons and pushed it out as far as they could, which was fine. But for me though, I was really happy when the announcement was made that they were bringing it into comic book form, and that Brian Q. Miller was going to be doing all the writing for all the entire run, and then an artist that I'd never heard of called Kat Staggs, she was responsible for doing the digital covers, and at one point she actually did do a whole full storyline as well with Brian, and I think it must have been Harbinger, with features John Constantine and Zatanna as well. So, and that was the other unique thing about the comic books, is that it brought in other characters. It gave them the opportunity to expand the universe even more. You know, we had the Legion of Superheroes, we already had them on a TV show. It was good to see the likes of Cosmic Boy, Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl appear on the show in live action form. I thought it was really good. And then we had the Justice Society, Hawkman, and then also Stargirl, and, you know, Dr. Fate as well, and obviously we've had Martian Manhunter, Black Canary, Green Arrow, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Connor Kent as well, Superboy appearing on there. And then, as I say, they expanded even more. I mean, we even had the Wonder Twins appear as well. These were some of the interesting characters that they brought in. Maxima as well at one point. It was great. It was really good to have that dynamic on the show, to bring all these other characters in, so that Clark Kent realises that he is not alone in the universe. He is not the only superpowered being, or not the only hero, not just on Earth, but in the galaxy. You know, in the universe essentially. We know what happened with Darkseid. They totally ruined Darkseid, but you know, we can get over that now. Ultraman for me, hence why I'm wearing a t-shirt, should have been the main villain for season 10. I have spoken about that before in a previous video way back in a few years back, during season 10. Ultraman would have made a perfect villain for the whole of, you know, the big bad of season 10 instead of Darkseid, because it did use a whole parallel universe, and even there was a bit of time travel as well involved. But like I say, the comic books were good, and I'm just going to show you the first sort of issue cover when it first happened, and this was the initial issue here. This is the very first one, as you can see, as drawn by Gary Frank, who is a very awesome artist. He has been doing a lot of DC Comics artwork, especially for Superman in particular, and I love his work for Superman because he always draws Superman in the likeness of Christopher Reeve. which is really good, paying homage and respects to the late Christopher Reeve, which I love so much. The first issue did go to second print, and I didn't actually expect it, because I walked into my comic book shop at the time and I had no idea that this was even happening, and so they had this cover available. A lot of you might remember this, because this was where when Chloe is reading the comic book to her son, this was the last sort of image that was shown in that comic book, and this is like the variant cover essentially of issue 1, and then obviously they went and rebranded and redone the whole numbering system for Smallville. So whilst it was all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it went on to I think about 60. I think we must have gotten to about 60 something. This was the digital chapters before they decided to change it all essentially. So with the comic books, the print editions were slightly different as well. And as you can see now, this was the final one, the final cover, continuity. The very last one, that's where it all ended, and an awesome farewell, and you can see the entire cast of Justice League as well on there, which I was just so amazed by, because Batman got brought in, Wonder Woman came in, we saw the return of Supergirl, Martian Manhunter was in there as well, we even met Miss Martian as well, you know, and don't forget Speedy, Mia was in there as well, who was also on the show at one point. We even had Jon Stewart, not just Jon Stewart, but Aya from the Green Lantern animated series as well. I thought it was a unique touch to bring her in, and I love what they did with Tess Mercer, because even though she was killed by Lex at the season finale, they rescued her conscious from inside Lex's mind, uploaded her onto Watchtower. She effectively became Watchtower, a digital version of herself, and then pretty much during continuity she becomes Red Tornado, and I thought that was pretty good. It was just, what a way to finish, and what a way to close off the series as a whole. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it, you know. It's done its job so far as I can tell. It really has done its job, you know. It is now firmly placed itself in the Superman universe, in that mythology. It is now an essential part of the mythology, and anybody, a lot of people will tell you, and I've seen so many people comment about it, how everybody will say that Smallville for them is their definitive version of Superman, and everyone has their versions, you know. I'll always love the Christopher Reeve editions of Superman, because as far as I'm concerned, he is Superman, but I also love Henry Cavill as well as Superman, and Man of Steel for me was, I loved it, okay. I'm not going to shy against that, because I really did enjoy Man of Steel, because it was effectively how I saw it on screen is how I read it in the comic books, or how I envision it when I'm reading it in the comic books, you know, when I've read the Superman comics, Action Comics and Justice League as well, how I envision how everything is moving, how everyone is working against each other, how the punches, the fights, the flight, you know, the effects and everything. And I saw, when I watched Man of Steel, I just said, yes, it was literally like looking at a comic book come to life. And for me, that was brilliant. So I'm looking forward to Batman v Superman, as you already know, obviously, next year. But yeah, as I say, Smallville does now have a place in the Superman history. So, you know, 14 years, you can't go wrong. I think it's probably the longest running, you know, I don't know how to put it, but it's a longest running sort of series that Superman has ever had. Clark Kent as well, essentially, because Tom Welling did effectively play Clark Kent for 9.5 years, or more than nearly 10 years, essentially. But yeah, he did effectively play Clark Kent, and it's got to the point of where now with the comics, you know, as I say, even other characters they introduced, Hank Henshaw as well was brought in. It's good that they were able to expand in that, pay respects and homage and nods to other universes of Superman as well, you know, particularly the Doomsday story, remember that in season 8, the Zod story as well, we know how that one ended by season 9, 10 I think that was again, no, season 10, yeah, sorry, because season 9 Zod was on Earth, but yeah, season 10 again, how Zod, Ursa and Non all ended up in the fortress, in the Phantom Zone again. So yeah, all those rich history that we already know of. If you've watched the Superman films, if you've read the Superman comics of the past, you will know all those particular Easter eggs that they dipped in there, that they put in there. And even better in the comics is how they also gave you the flashbacks to all the previous episodes as well that have occurred, all the important moments for Clark Kent, and not just Clark but for every other character as well, Chloe and Oliver Queen, Lois, and Lana as well. You know, we even had a story that finished off Lana's story as well. You know, we got Metallo. Metallo was seen again in the comics as well. So all of these, everyone was connected at the end of the day. Doesn't matter how far out they've been, they all came together. They were all connected in some way, shape or form. And it was brilliant. It has been brilliant. So as I say, thank you to Miles and Alfred for bringing the TV show to life, first of all, to the new showrunners who took over, Darren Swimmer and Brian Peterson and Kelly Souders, and then obviously to the actors, the you know, Michael Rosenbaum, best Lex ever. And I told him that when I met him in Metropolis 2 years ago. Who else? Tom Welling, obviously, for doing his part, Alison Mack, and John Glover. We'll never forget John Glover as Lionel Luthor. Annette O'Toole, love Annette O'Toole. We all love her to bits, and obviously John Schneider as well. Erica Durance, and then also even Michael McKean as Perry White, Aaron Ashmore as Jimmy Olsen as well, James Henry Olsen, and then Jimmy Olsen later on. And also to Brian Q. Miller, Kat Staggs, everybody else that has been involved with the comics as well. You know, the fans were happy when it came to comics, and it gave DC Comics a huge boost in their comic book sale as well. I think they increased their sale by 40%. That is massive, absolutely massive, and that tells you something about the uniqueness of this series of Smallville in particular. So hats off to everybody involved. And will we ever see it again? Well, in comics, never say never. Okay, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all for the past 14 years, Smallville, thank you very much. And to everybody involved, well done, and thank you. See you all very soon.